Hello, welcome to the second part of chapter number 4, HOREGALLU. Okay, do you remember what was HOREGALLU called? Or I mean, Idjan, or we call it the branch of literature. That's right. HOREGALLU is an anecdote. Then what's an anecdote? Okay, an anecdote. It's a small, amusing or interesting story about an incident or a person, right? Then let me ask you one question. Remember the writer? Yes, the Indian English writer Suthamurti. Remember, she was from Karnataka. Okay, we have discussed her profile in detail in the last part 1, right? Then what was the anecdote HOREGALLU about? Okay, HOREGALLU was all about Suthamurti's real life memories associated with, most importantly, 2 personalities. First one, who was that? Okay, it was her own grandfather, a retired schoolmaster. And the second person? Yes, by the time Suthamurti had grown up, she had found employment in a company in Mumbai where she had a colleague. Okay, her colleague, her name was Ratna. Okay, these are the 2 persons about whom Suthamurti talks about in this anecdote. I hope you remember how we had started last time. We started with a few quotes on memories by great persons, and we went on to listen to a beautiful nostalgic song written by the Malayali Jnanpeeth poet O.N.V. Kurupp. Hope you remember all those things. Then we discussed 2 paragraphs from the story. The first paragraph, what was it about? Okay, it was all about a massive banyan tree right in the middle of the village, and under this there was a HOREGALLU, and it was where Suthamurti, when she was a small girl, went to play along with her grandfather. That was the first paragraph's theme or central idea. Okay, in the first paragraph, thus we get a beautiful image of a massive umbrella, then like banyan tree, a huge banyan tree, massive like an umbrella, under which there was a HOREGALLU, right? This is a beautiful image. And then in the second paragraph also we get images, and the second paragraph is related to, if you remember, right? Yes, it was related to Suthamurti's memories associated with the HOREGALLU. Here also we get 3 images. The first one, yes, her own grandfather, who was a retired school teacher. He sat on this HOREGALLU talking to people. So this is the image. The second image is Suthamurti's, her own image. Suthamurti sitting next to her grandpa, listening to the conversations her grandpa had with the farmers and other travelers who came there, right? That the second image. The third one is the topic of the conversations. The topic of the conversations which she has been listening to. The topic was, what was the topic of conversation? Okay, it was all about their everyday lives, their troubles, their worries, and the like. Okay, these were the two chapters, the two paragraphs we dealt with in the last class. You should keep in mind the less familiar words we discussed in those two paragraphs. So without much delay, let's move over to the third paragraph. The third paragraph is a straight continuation of the second paragraph, where we have seen the farmers, travelers, etc. were sharing their lives, troubles, cares, etc. with grandfather. And here in the third paragraph, it begins with a few pieces of such conversations by this farmers and travelers. You cannot call it a conversation in the strict sense, because there was only the farmers talking and the grandfather just listening. Right? Here it goes. Master Ji, the summer has been so hot. I have never seen such dry weather. Or, Master Ji, it's getting difficult for me to carry these large loads on my head. Thank God for this HOREGALLU. I wish my son would help, but he only wants to go to the city. They spoke about the difficulties they lived with. My grandfather could only listen to them, but just talking to him seemed to refresh them for the journey. After some time, they would pick up their burdens with some ease and go on their way. The HOREGALLU was an important feature in their lives, and as a child, I would often not understand why they blessed it so often for being there. After all, it was only a stone bench. But it was my grandfather who told me, child, a HOREGALLU is essential in any journey. We all carry our burdens according to our situations and capacities. But every once in a while, we need to stop, put down that burden and rest. Only then can we be refreshed enough to pick up the load once more. The HOREGALLU gives everyone that opportunity to do so. It helps people regain their strength. Any guess regarding the central idea or what the paragraphs tells us? Try to think. Yes, this paragraph is all about the true function or the dharma, if you can call it so, a dharma of a HOREGALLU. A HOREGALLU here becomes a symbol, not just a stone bench. It is much more. Here we see the farmers sharing their worries with grandfather, like the difficulties they lived with. They talked and grandfather simply listened. No reply, no solution, but that was enough, because they felt relieved and refreshed after they have spoken out their heart. Okay. They were carrying huge burdens in their hearts before grandfather Because he was simply willing to listen, they opened their hearts. Right? And they got relieved and refreshed. They spoke about the HOREGALLU. And they thanked for that HOREGALLU being there. They call it as a blessing. Why did they call the HOREGALLU as a blessing? Yes, the HOREGALLU helped them relieve their burdens. But little Sutha could not understand the relevance of HOREGALLU. How did Grandpa explain the true significance of a HOREGALLU to little Sutha? Okay, he explained to her that a HOREGALLU was essential in any journey. Remember, any journey. So when he says any journey, it doesn't mean the ordinary kind of journey. Generally, we know people go on journeys. Men and women, they go places for different purposes. You're familiar with any other journey? Any clue regarding what the author is trying to indicate here? Okay, that's right. You are right. Here, grandfather goes on a bit philosophical. He indirectly points to life. And as we know, we all say, a lot of people say, life is a journey. And we humans are all travelers. Every human being is a traveler. Everyone carries big burdens in their life journey. Okay. Everybody has got burdens. Every human being, according to their situations. What are those burdens? Some of those burdens? Yes, the problems, the worries, the tensions, the sorrows. So all of us have these burdens, small and big, according to our situations. In our lives too, we need HOREGALLUs to put down these burdens. So it's not the material, the stone-like HOREGALLU, but we need human HOREGALLUs like Grandpa. Such people like grandfather help people regain their strength so that they could continue, they could put down their burden for some time and get relieved. And then they take, once again they take these burdens on their head and they continue their journey. Right? That's the most important idea shared by the author Suthamurti here. Every one of us, big or small, rich or poor, everyone has burdens. And we have all these burdens. We cannot continue walking and going forward, carrying this burden, because there will be so much stress, so much suffocation. So we need some rest. Let's move on to the less familiar words or the new words from that paragraph. The first word is weather. And weather means atmospheric condition at a place or a time. Then next word is ease. It's a noun. It means absence of difficulty or absence of effort. The third word is essential. And essential means absolutely necessary or extremely important. The final word, regain, obtain or get back after losing. Now, you can consider a few questions. You may try to answer these questions. The first one is, how did the grandfather refresh the travelers? Number 2, why is a HOREGALLU essential for a journey? Third question, HOREGALLU gives everyone the opportunity to regain their strength. What does the author try to indicate here? Fourth question, what does a HOREGALLU symbolic of? Or how does HOREGALLU becomes a symbol? Then next one, in what sense does the author use the word burden? Try to answer these questions, and if you are able to do so, it means that you have comprehended that paragraph very well. Now, the fourth paragraph. It's a very small paragraph. Just listen to my reading. Later on in life, I got to see something that reminded me of that stone bench once again. I was working in Bombay, now it is called Mumbai. One of my colleagues, Ratna, was a senior clerk, middle-aged and always smiling. She had done her graduation and been working in the company for nearly 25 years. She went about her repetitive, mundane work with an infectious cheerfulness. Any guess regarding the central idea of this paragraph? Of course, it is quite simple, very obvious. It introduces the second character of this anecdote besides grandfather. What is the name of the character? Okay, Ratna. And what was Ratna? Ratna was a senior clerk in a Mumbai-based company. Can you describe her? Or how does the author describe Ratna? Okay, she is described as a middle-aged and pleasant character. She was a graduate, which means a degree holder, and has 25 years of experience in this company. She was a colleague of, a co-worker of, or worked in the same office with Suthamurti. She was very workaholic, although clerical work was dull and repetitive, uninteresting, but Ratna always looked cheerful. That should be so. Whatever work you accept, do it enjoyingly. You love your work. If you start loving your work, you will be able to find happiness, enjoyment in doing it. That's what we call professional satisfaction. Okay, Ratna was such a lady who loved her work. She did this difficult, uninteresting work with great interest. She always had a smiling face, and her cheerfulness, her smile spread to others. The less familiar or new words, let us look at them. Okay, the first word is colleague. Colleague is a person with whom one works in an office, or we may call it a co-worker. Next word is graduation. Graduation means receiving or conferring of an academic degree or diploma. Mundane means lacking in interest or excitement. Mundane, uninteresting, not exciting. Next word is infectious. Infectious is normally related to diseases, easily spreading diseases. But here we take the second meaning, which is likely to spread or influence others easily or fast. Here, infectious cheerfulness of Ratna means Ratna's cheerfulness spread to others so easily, so fast. What are the questions you have to find answer for here? No doubt it's about a description or a character sketch of Ratna. We get a few clues to have a character sketch of Ratna here. We will get more in the coming paragraphs.